Before we introduce our sonnet project, I want to make sure that you understand something a little complicated about sonnets that we haven't discussed yet. This is something that will also be important when we start reading Macbeth next week. And that is the meter that Shakespeare uses, which is called Iambic Pentameter. Those are fancy words, but we are going to break them down for you. So, first of all, what is meter? Meter is simply the rhythm of poetry. It is made up of a pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. All words have their own natural meter. Not every single word, every syllable in a word gets the same amount of stress, and that affects the way we pronounce words. For example, most names in English stress the first syllable. Patrick, Jason, Susan, Tracy. If we change that, if we put the emphasis, if we put the stress on the second syllable, it changes the way we say the name. We don't say Patrick, Jason, Susan, Tracy. We put the emphasis on the first syllable. And when you say them wrong, it sounds funny, right? You put the emphasis on the wrong syllable, and then words end up sounding a little silly. Two-syllable words in the English language all have one stressed and one unstressed syllable. After, before, turtle, monster. And again, if you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable, the word sounds different. You don't say before, you don't say monster. That would be a funny way to talk. So I am doing all of this silly emphasis just to make sure that you understand that words have a natural meter, that words are naturally either stressed or unstressed in their syllables. Sometimes multisyllabic words have more than one syllable that gets emphasized. For example, the words graduation or understanding have a pattern that is alternating, stressed and unstressed. But then sometimes multisyllable words only have one syllable that gets emphasized, like in the word impossible. So, meter, again, just to reiterate, is the rhythm of poetry made up of a pattern of the syllables that get stressed or unstressed. If we did not talk with different stresses in the words that we say, then we would sound monotone like a robot, and we don't speak that way. So now it gets a little more complicated. What does iambic mean? Iam is just a funny word that it's a Latin word, really. I say funny. It's a Latin word, or perhaps Greek, that names the type of meter. There are several different types of meter. You don't have to worry about the difference between iams and trochees and dactyls and anapaests. You just need to focus on the iam. The iam is a pattern that goes unstressed, then stressed, like in the words destroy, belong, delay. An iamb can also be made up of single syllable words that would be read with an iambic emphasis, like he went away toward the sun. He went away toward the sun. You can hear kind of that bouncy rhythm in that iambic line. And iambs are said to be the meter that most mimics, that was kind of hard to say, the meter that most mimics the natural pattern of human speech. So what does pentameter mean? Well, penta means 5. And since an iamb is 2 beats or 2 syllables long, iambic pentameter means 5 sets of iambs, or in other words, a line of poetry that has 10 syllables. That's the part you need to pay attention to. Iambic pentameter has 10 syllable lines, and it is an alternating rhythm of unstressed and stressed syllables. Here are 3 examples from Shakespeare. But soft what light through yonder window breaks. That's for Romeo and Juliet. Then 2 from the sonnets we read last week. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. You can hear the meter in those. It sounds kind of like da-dum, 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 da-dum. And so it's got beats. It's got upbeats and downbeats. And that's kind of a musical way to think of the stressed and unstressed syllables. All of these things are important because this week we are doing a sonnet project where two of your options will allow you to write your own sonnet. When you write a sonnet, remember that they have to have 14 lines and they need to use Iambic Pentameter, meaning that each line should have 10 syllables. If you worry about the number of syllables before you worry about the da-dum, 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 da-dum meter, then you will be able to work and make the meter work by adding or removing single syllables, like adding or removing an A or the, or using an apostrophe to remove an ED. I can show you how that works as we start workshopping your projects. Also, keep in mind the rhyme scheme for a sonnet should be A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. The first two quatrains establish and build the theme of the sonnet. Then the third quatrain has a shift, begins to ask a question or suggest a conclusion. And then finally, the couplet concludes the theme. So you can use these as guidelines for the projects in which you have to write your own sonnets. We will discuss Iambic Pentameter again next week. So just be aware of that alternating stressed and unstressed rhythm.